So magandang gabi po ulit sa inyo lahat at nandito po ako ulit para mag-discuss sa inyo ng panibagong topic tungkol sa developing SQL databases, which is ang topic ko po is creating constraints. So before po tayo mag-start, magkakaroon lang po ako ng short discussion and background para magkaroon tayo ng idea kung ano nga ba yung SQL constraints. So SQL constraints po is a set of rules implemented on tables in relational databases. So it dictates po on what data can be inserted, updated, or deleted in each table. So, ano nga ba yung kahalagahan ng SQL constraints? Kung bakit ba natin ito ginagawa? So, this is done po to ensure the accuracy and the reliability of information stored in a table. So, dito po sa pag-aaralan natin, matututunan natin yung paano tayo gumawa ng primary keys, foreign keys, and with constraints. So, there are 6 exam objectives po na covered sa lab na ito. Number 1, we will demonstrate how to define a column as a primary key for an existing table using SQL Server Management Studio. And number 2, we will demonstrate how to define a column as primary key for an existing table using Transact SQL. And mamaya po i-discuss ko kung ano yung pinagkaiba ng Transact SQL sa SQL itself. So, and we will demonstrate mamaya po on how to create a foreign key constraint in an existing table which refers to another column in the same table using Transact SQL. And next, we will demonstrate how to create a foreign key constraint in an existing table which refers to another table in the same databases using Transact SQL naman. And second to the last, we will demonstrate how to create a check constraint on one of the columns in an existing table. And the last, we will demonstrate how to create a unique constraints on one of the columns of an existing table. So let's start. So exercise 1. So working with primary keys naman po muna tayo. So ano yung primary keys? Primary key po is one of the types of data constraints that you can use to apply data integrity in databases. So and ang primary key din po is a field in a table which uniquely identifies its row or records in a database table. So dapat po ang primary key must contain unique values. And we cannot duplicate values po in the primary key. So, dapat unique values yung meron lang daw tayo sa ating primary key. So, sabi din dito, there can be only one primary key constraints in a single table so that the primary key po, yung column natin, cannot contain null values. Kasi, ang primary key dapat nagko-contain lang siya ng unique values. So, note, so the primary key columns must be defined as not null dahil tulad ng sinabi ko po kanina, primary key must contain unique values. So let's start. So task 1, create a primary key using SQL Server Management Studio. So tulad po ng dati nating ginagawa from step 1 to step 3, yung pag-open po natin ng SQL lab natin. So ayan po, kasalukuyan nating ino-open yung ating SQL lab natin. Tulad po nung lagi nating ginagawa. So ayan po, lumabas na yung ating SQL server. So step 1, ensure you have powered on the required devices and connected to Plab SQL 01. So as you can see po on your monitor, naka-on na po itong ating Plab SQL 01. And proceed tayo sa step 2. So from the Plab SQL 01 desktop, click Start and click Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So as you can see po, andito na siya mismo sa ating monitor. So yan, lumabas na po yung ating SQL Server 2016 Management Studio. step 2 po. So, from the Plab SQL Desktop 1, click Start and click Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So, as you can see po, ito na po yung ating server. So, lumabas na po. So, from the server, type drop down list, click database engine. So, ito. So, in the server name, text box, type Plab SQL 01 and then connect. Step 3, so the SQL Server Management Studio Windows appears. So, ito po yun. So, in the Object Explorer, click to expand the database folder. So, we will expand this. And step 4, so to select the database from the list of the databases, click AdventureWorks DW 2016 CTP3. So, i-click daw po natin ito. Then, after that, to create a new query from the query ribbon, click New Query. So, ayan po, lumabas na po yung ating query panes. So, let's proceed to step 5. So, the new query panes open. So, ito na po yun. Then, next, to create a sample table, type the following query in the new query pane. So, we will copy this. And steps, so sabi dito in the given query, a sample table named dim product underscore temp is created in the database. So, the data from the dim product table is imported in dim product underscore temp. So, based on the where clause. So, step 7, iraran daw po natin ito or press F5 tayo. So, yeah, may nag-appear dito na 0 rows affected. So, the query is executed and the result is displayed in the messages pane. So, it shows that sample table is successfully created and the data is imported based on the where clause. So, step 8 tayo. So, dito sa step 8, dito po sa step 8, we will verify if there are any keys defined in dim product underscore temp table and in the Object Explorer. So, click to expand AdventureWorks DW 2016 CTP3. So, we will expand this. Okay, and may makikita tayong table. Expand din natin tong table. And from that table, hanapin natin yung dbo.dimproduct underscore temp in keys. So, ito. Yan. So, notice there are no keys defined for the dim product temp table. So, as of now, pinindot natin yung keys and wala pang keys na nagde-define sa dim product natin. And step 9. So, to open the design view of the table in the Object Explorer, right-click natin yung dim product underscore temp. So, may makikita tayong design option dito. Then, i-click daw natin ito. So, here you go. Wait lang. Kawasan natin konti. Yan. So, step 10. So, the table designer panes open. So, to define a primary key on the product key column, right-click on the row selector of the product key column. So, i-right-click daw natin ito. And then, may lalabas na from the context menu, click set primary key. So, yan. From the context menu, click So, yan. Napindot na po natin. And note, the primary key column must defined as not null. So, yeah, hindi po siya naka-null. Okay. So, step 11. So, notice a bulb icon that appears for the product key columns. The icon indicates primary key. So, ito siya. Hindi siya mukhang light bulb. Mukha siyang key talaga. Mukha siyang susi. So, yun. Proceed tayo sa step 12. So to save the table, right click the yellow bar of the query pane. So right click daw natin ito. And then may lalabas dito na save dim product underscore temp. So yan, na-save na po. And step 13, to refresh the database in the Object Explorer, click the refresh icon. So ito yung refresh icon po natin. Nakapwesto siya dito sa ating Object Explorer. So after natin ma-refresh yan, proceed naman tayo sa task 2. So we will create a primary key using transact SQL. So tulad nga po na sinabi ko kanina, may pagkakaiba ang transact SQL sa SQL itself. So ano yon? SQL is data oriented language which is mainly used po to process and to analyze the data using simple queries like insert, update, and delete. So yun yung SQL itself natin, SQL lang. While yung transact SQL naman po is a transactional language which is mainly used to create the application as well as will use to add business logic into the application from back-end system. So sabi dito sa task 2, in this task, we will first delete the dim product underscore temp table if it exists in the databases and recreate it. So you will then define the product key columns as primary key in the dim product underscore temp table using transact SQL statement. So proceed tayo sa step 1. Step 1, magke-create lang po tayo ng panibago nating query. So yan, type the following query in the new query pane. So, then, ang next step natin dito, wait lang, before tayo mag-proceed sa next step, ang sabi dito, in the given query, you will first check if the table name dim product underscore temp exists in the database. So, if it exists, you need to delete it and then create a new table with the same name. So, the data daw po from the dim product table is imported into the dim product underscore temp table based on the where clause. So, step 2, we will run down natin ito. And then, may message na lumabas which is yung 0 rows affected. So, in this message pane that shows that it's successfully creation of the new table with the data imported. So, successful daw po natin na-create yung table and na-import natin yung table. So, step 3 na tayo. So, in the Object Explorer, navigate to dim product underscore temp. So, nandito na po tayo kanina. Sabi dito, to create a new query from the query pane, then magkikreate lang tayo ng panibago ulit. So, we will type the following query. Okay. So, bago po natin i-run ito, ang sabi dito, alter table statement is used to define the primary key on the already existing dim product underscore temp table. So, the name of the primary key constraint is pk product key. So, when we expand these keys, ang lalabas dito is yung pk underscore product key. So, step 4, we will run this and ito na po, may lumabas ditong messages na ang sabi, command completed successfully. So, we will proceed to step 5 which is i-refresh daw po natin ulit ito. Then, under dbo.dim product, click keys. So, yun. Then, makikita natin dito yung key nodes which is yung pk underscore product key. And let's proceed. So, exercise number 2, working with foreign keys. So, ano nga ba yung foreign key? So, foreign key is a column or set of columns that allows us to establish a referential link between the data in the two tables. So, sabi din dito, the foreign key columns accepts only those values that exist in the primary key column. So, however po, kabaliktaran naman ito ng ating primary key, which is ang foreign key naman po, this time it can contain null values. So, Let's proceed. Task 1. We will create a foreign key constraint referring to another column in the same table. So, in this task po, we will perform the following actions such as, number 1, we will verify if the table named DIM employee underscore temp exists in the databases. Number 2, if it exists, delete it and recreate it with the same name. So, next, we will import the data from DIM employee table into DIM employee underscore temp table. So, based on the where clause tayo. So, and next, we will create a primary key on the employee key column in DIM employee underscore temp table. And last, we will create a foreign key constraint on parent employee key column in the DIM employee underscore table underscore temp table. So, the foreign key column will reference the primary key column in DIM employee underscore temp table. So, in other words po, we will be creating a foreign key constraint that refers to another columns in the same table. So, let's proceed. Step 1, magkikreate tayo ng panibago nating query and type the following new query. Alright. So, yan, and sabi dito, in the given query po na kinopy-paste natin, you will first check if the table named DIM employee underscore temp exists in the databases. So if it exists daw, you need to delete it and then create a new table with the same name. So the data from the DIM employee table is imported onto DIM employee underscore temp tables based on the where clause. So step 2, we will run this okay, may message dito po na nagsasabi na 0 rows affected. And so meaning so may message po dito na lumabas na 0 rows affected. So meaning po the result is this so may lumabas po dito 0 rows affected. So meaning po na it shows that may lumabas po ditong 0 rows affected, which means po that shows may lumabas po ditong 0 rows affected. It shows that successfully na-create na natin yung new table. So step 3, we will create another new query and we will type this again, alter table the employee. Okay, so dito sa query na to, a primary key naman is defined on the employee key columns in DIM employee underscore temp table. So step 4, we will run this again. Then command successfully completed. And step 5, we will create another query. Okay, execute. Okay, so we will type this again. So bago natin to run, ang sabi dito in the new query, so a foreign key constraint daw is created in DIM employee underscore temp table. So the foreign key column is parent employee key. So the foreign key constraint name is FK underscore DIM employee underscore temp underscore DIM employee underscore temp. So this foreign key will reference the primary key columns employee key from the DIM employee underscore temp table. So step 6, we will run this again. So command successfully completed. And step 7, we will refresh the database in the Object Explorer. So we will click again the refresh button. So sabi dito under dbo.dim employee underscore temp, click keys. So employee, hanapin natin. So ito. So expand natin tong keys. So sabi dito, notice that the primary key and the foreign key that appears under the key node. So ito po yun, yung primary key and yung foreign key natin. So step 8, so in the Object Explorer under dbo.dim employee, underscore temp, we will click to expand the columns. So we will expand this. So yan. So notice that the primary key and foreign key column. So nandito yung dalawa natin nakita kanina. So ang sabi dito, under dbo.employee underscore temp, the columns node is selected and expanded. So the primary key and foreign key columns are displayed. So task 2. Ngayon, we will create a foreign key naman constraint referring to another table in the same databases. So, in this task, we will perform the following action. Ito yung following action. Number 1, we will verify if the dim product underscore temp exists in the databases or not. Number 2, if it exists naman, we will delete it again and recreate it again. So, we will import the data from the dim product table into dim product underscore temp table. And we will create a primary key on the product key column in dim product underscore temp table, and we will verify if the table named fac internet sales underscore temp exists in the databases or not. So pag nag-exist naman to ulit, delete the table naman tayo and recreate it. And next is we will import the data from the fac internet sales table into fac internet sales table underscore temp. So and last, we will create a foreign key on the product key columns in fac internet sales underscore temp table that will reference the primary key column from the dim product underscore temp table. So step 1. So to create a new query, mag-create na tayo panabago ulit. So type the following query in the new query pane. So sabi dito, in the given query, you will verify if the table named dim product underscore temp exists. So in this given query naman po, you will verify if the table named dim product underscore temp exists. So if nag-exist na po ito, we will delete it and we will recreate it again. So we will run this. Yan. So yan po, may message na lumabas, 0 rows affected. So step 2, mag-wait po ulit tayo ng panibago nating query. So we will type this following query. Okay. So sabi dito, in the query, a primary key naman po is defined on the product key column in the dim product underscore temp table. So we will run this again. And sabi dito, command successfully completed. So the query pane is displayed with the query type that defines a primary key on the product key columns in the dim product underscore temp table. So ating niran to, may message dito na nagsasabing command completed successfully. So it shows that we successfully created the primary key in the table. So proceed tayo sa step 3, which is mag-create ulit tayo ng panibago nating query. So, and ita-type down natin ulit ito. So, in the given query, you will verify if the table name fac internet sales underscore temp exists. So, if nag-exist ulit ito, same procedure ulit tayo. We will delete it and we will recreate it again. So, run natin to. So, after natin ma-execute itong query, ang sabi dito, the result is displayed in the messages pane that shows the successfully deletion of the table. So, step 4, create tayo na panibago ulit na query. And we will type this, select into this table. So, in the given query daw, you will create the table name fac internet sales underscore temp and import the data into the table from fac internet sales based on the where clause. So, we will run this again. After natin ma-execute, may lumabas dito. So, ang sabi, the new query pane is displayed with the query type that creates the fac internet sales underscore temp table. So, the data daw po is imported from the fac internet sales table. So, the query is executed and the result is displayed in the messages pane that shows the successful creation of the table. So step 5, magka-create tayo ng panibago nating query ulit. So we will type this. So na-type ko na po. And so sabi dito, in the query, so a foreign key constraint is created in fact internet sales underscore temp table. So the foreign key columns is product key. So the foreign key constraint name is fk.dim product underscore fact internet sales. So this foreign key daw po will reference the primary key column product key from the dim product underscore temp table. So iraran po ulit natin ito. So command completed successfully. So it defines a foreign key constraint in fact internet table. So nung ma-execute natin to, may lumabas na message na command completed successfully, which is, ang sabi dito, the query is executed and result is displayed in the messages pane that shows the successful creation of the foreign key in the table. So proceed tayo sa step 6, which is i-click daw ulit natin itong refresh button. So under dbo.fact internet sales underscore temp click keys. So hanapin natin yung fact internet sales. So under dbo.fact internet sales underscore temp click keys. So expand muna natin ito and then we will click keys. So sabi dito, notice that the foreign key that appears under the key node. So close the query panes without saving the queries. Okay. So step 7. So in the object explorer under dbo.fact internet sales underscore temp, click to expand columns. And manonotice natin dito na ito yung mga foreign key column natin. And proceed tayo sa next step. To proceed to exercise number 3, which is working with constraints. So apart from the primary key and foreign key constraints, there are 2 more types of constraints. Ito yung check and unique. So simula tayo sa check constraint. So a check constraint po is a type of integrity constraint in SQL which specifies a requirement that must be met by each rows in the database table. So ang sabi dito, the restriction of values in the table columns can be specified in a check constraint using Boolean expressions along with the logical operator. So ano yung Boolean expression? A Boolean expression is either true or false. So while a unique constraints naman po tayo is the rules that the values of a key are valid only if they are unique. So proceed tayo sa step 1. Sa step 1, we will create a check constraints on the table column. So in this task daw, you will create a check constraints on the hard date column in the dim employee underscore temp table. So you will validate the constraint by trying to update the hard date column value. So proceed tayo sa step 1. We will create a new query. Then type the following query. And then yung ating query pane. So sabi dito, in the given query, we will create a check constraint on the hard date column in the dim employee underscore temp table. So the name of constraint is ck underscore hard date. So the constraint will check if the hard date is less than the value returned by the get date method. So run down natin ito ulit. So the message pane shows that the constraint is successfully created. So proceed tayo sa step 2. Create tayo na panibagong query. Then ito, tatype natin ito. So hindi ko na siya babasahin kasi mahaba. So dito sa kinapin natin, we will import daw the data from dim employee table to dim employee underscore temp table based on the where clause. Then i-run natin to ulit. So may lumabas na panibagong message which is 1 rows affected. So it shows that the import of 1 record in the table. So na-import na natin yung isang table. So isang record sa table. So step 3 tayo. Create tayo ng panibagong query. And we will type this following. So dito sa tinype natin, we will update the hard date column in the dim employee underscore timetable. So the query does not run successfully as the hard date column has a check constraint enforced and the value to be updated does not match the set constraint. So let's see nga, i-run natin po ulit ito. So may lumabas dito, message 547 level 16. So the update statement conflicted with the check constraint CK hard date. The conflict occurred, the statement has been terminated. So sabi dito, the query execution is terminated as the hard date columns cannot be updated. Bakit? Because of the check constraint. So the termination message is displayed in the messages pane. So ito yun, nakikita natin. And proceed tayo sa task 2, which is we will create a unique constraints on the table column. So in this task daw, we will create a unique constraint on one of the columns in the dim product underscore temp table. So step 1, create tayo ng panibagong query. Ito. So dito sa kinapin natin, sabi dito, we will create a unique constraint on the product alternate key column in the dim product underscore temp table. So the constraint name is ux underscore product alternate key constraint. Okay, and we will run this again. So after natin marami mababasa tayong commands completed successfully, that means we create a unique constraint on the product alternate key column in the dim product underscore temp table. So step 2, we will refresh this again. So we will navigate to dim product underscore temp table and we will click to expand the keys. Ayan. So notice that the constraint displayed under the key node. So ito. So it shows that nakapag-create tayo ng unique constraint sa ating product alternate key column in the dim product underscore temp table. And that's it po. Thank you for listening.